Honour members, the sitting will resume. However, before we do that, I have received complaints from the Muslim community that there is an abuse of their caps here in the House being worn by people who are not Muslims. I hope the ones who are wearing the cap, what is the fez? If you're not a Muslim, you're offending the Muslims. Yes. You're offending the Muslims. Secondly, please. Secondly, other members, this morning, there was an attempt to bring several of the fezes into the chamber. Fez, this. So there was a scuffle between the security and the members who are trying to bring in these. So these were intercepted. They're here. Let me ask the clerk to table them, lay them there. Some damage has occurred in the chamber. I will ask the Rules Committee to look up the footage and identify the members who caused damage. They will be taken to the disciplinary committee and they'll be obliged to pay for the damage out of their salaries. As for Honorable Kibule, I've also instructed the Rules Committee to investigate that situation and give us a report. Let us proceed with item 3.
Item 3, statement.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to address the House at a time when tempers are so high, at a time, Right Honorable Speaker, when the sanctity of Parliament...
What are you talking about? What address is this?
Right Honorable Speaker, I can't just pretend that life is as usual. I can't just pretend that it's business as usual. What has just happened to the members in this chamber, Right Honorable Speaker, is something we should not just ignore. Members have been brutally moved out of the chamber by SFC. Yes, yes. Right Honorable Speaker, you gave a ruling.
Honorable Leader of Opposition, please take your seat first. Take your seat. Honorable Leader of Opposition, take your seat. Honour members, you are familiar with the rules of procedure. Our rules say if you are asked to leave, you must leave. If you do not leave, you are removed. That's why they are removed. Proceed. No, please. Item 3.
Item 3, statement by Minister over the death of...
Honorable Bako, take your seat. Honorable Bako, take your seat. Honorable Bako, take your seat. Honorable members, I will also suspend you. If there's any further disturbance, I will suspend more people. Honorable Sevagara, take your seat. Take your seat, Honorable Sevagara. Can I invite the Minister of Internal Affairs to address item 3? Item 3.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, as you directed yesterday, Honorable Odong Jeje is still in Djibouti, and Honorable Biga Kania is in Buindi on assignment by the President. I endeavored to reach out to them so that they can present the report as you directed. And I'm sorry, Right Honorable Speaker, that both ministers are not at station. And I will endeavor that at least on Tuesday, we bring that statement, Right Honorable Speaker.
You're not sure about tomorrow? You may not find them tomorrow?
Honorable JJ will not be back tomorrow, and because I have not received the commitment from Honorable Biga, I didn't want to stand here and mislead this House before contacting Honorable Biga Kanya, Right Honorable Speaker.
Okay, the report is deferred to Tuesday next week. Item 4.
Item 4, motion seeking leave of Parliament to introduce a private member's bill entitled the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2017.
Now, Honourable Members, before the motion is moved, I wanted to reiterate again that what is happening here is only seeking leave. There is no amendment being done today. It is a question of seeking leave to bring a bill. When the bill is brought, it is printed, it is gazetted, brought here for a first reading, sent to the committee. That's when the process will start. But now this is just seeking leave. Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members. Madam Speaker, I beg to move a motion under our rules of procedure, Rule 47, Rule 110, and Rule 111, seeking leave of this House to introduce a private member's bill under Article 94(4)(b) of our Constitution for the bill entitled Constitutional Amendment Bill 2017. Madam Speaker, whereas Article 94 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda and our own rules of procedure, Rule 110, recognize the right of a member to move a private member's bill, whereas Parliament is mandated under Articles 259 and 262 of the Constitution to amend the provisions of the Constitution by way of addition, variation, or repeal, aware that Article 4 of the Constitution is emphatic on the people of Uganda expressing their will and consent on who shall govern them and how they shall be governed through regular, free, and fair elections of their representatives. Recalling that on 31st March 2016, the Supreme Court, in a unanimous decision in Presidential Election Petition number 1 of 2016, made recommendations for the amendment of the Constitution's provisions governing elections in Uganda. That under Article 104(2) and 3 of the Constitution, the 10-day period within which to file a petition in case of presidential elections and the 30 days within which the court has to make a decision is inadequate, and it should be reviewed. And that Article 1046 of the Constitution should be amended to increase the number of days within which the Electoral Commission is required to hold a fresh election where a presidential election annulled, and that the late enactment of relevant electoral legislation has a negative effect on the conduct of elections, and any election-related law reforms must be undertaken within 2 years of the establishment of a new parliament. Madam Speaker, further aware that this very parliament was sworn in on 18th May 2016, and therefore following the decision of court, these electoral reforms must be completed by 18th May 2018. I'd like to note with concern that up to today, government has not presented to Parliament any amendment in conformity with the Supreme Court decision. concerned that eligibility requirements for a person to be elected as president or district chairperson, being part of the necessary electoral reforms, must be reviewed as well to comply with Article 1 of the Constitution, which gives the power to the people that they have the absolute right to determine how they should be governed, and Articles 21 and 32, which prohibit any form of discrimination on the basis of age and other factors. Firmly convinced that there is a need to review the 1995 Constitution of the Republic of Uganda to address the above gaps, to implement the Supreme Court decisions as well as any other related matters. Now, therefore, Right Honourable Speaker, this motion is moved, requesting that this Parliament accepts and grants me leave so that I introduce a bill for an act entitled the Constitution Amendment Bill 2017, a draft of which is attached hereto, and do order the publication of the said bill in preparation for its first reading. Madam Speaker and honorable colleagues, I beg to request that you receive this motion, and you permit me leave to introduce the private members' bill. I beg to move.
Is it seconded? Is it seconded? Okay. Seconded by several members. Motivate, but don't go into the merits. Don't go into the merits of the issue.
It's just a justification.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable colleagues, it is a year past the day we were sworn in as the 10th Parliament. Our executive has done nothing to effect the court decision which I pointed out in the motion. I therefore find it imperative, as a member of Parliament, under the Constitution, Article 94.4, to bring this bill with a view to meet the timeliness and the timelines set by the Supreme Court. I find the proposed amendments justified for the following reasons. In terms of time for filing and determination of the petition, Madam Speaker and honorable colleagues, I like to associate with the observation of court that the time provided for the petitioners to file their petitions and for court to determine the petition, being 10 days for the petitioner and 30 days within which court must analyze the evidence and make a decision, as provided under Article 1042 and 3, is highly inadequate, and I find it absolutely necessary and justified to amend the law with a view to increase the time for filing and determining the petition. Consequent on this, colleagues, if we increase the time for filing and determining the petitions, this will necessitate that we adjust the time for elections backwards accordingly. Madam Speaker, in terms of time for holding fresh elections, I find it justified, looking at the current provision in the Constitution, that in case court annuls a presidential election, a fresh election must be conducted within 20 days. This is highly inadequate. Colleagues, even we members of Parliament, in case court orders for a fresh election, we are given 60 days. In the neighborhood, it has just happened. Court annulled a presidential election, and they ordered for a rerun within 60 days. I therefore find, in my view, that the current provision of only 20 days for a fresh election of the president is not justifiable, and hence the need for an amendment. In terms of qualifications of the president and district chairperson, Madam Speaker and honorable colleagues, the current law provides for an upper and lower age limit for a person standing for election as President District Chairperson. It is my view that the elections qualifications of candidates falls directly and is part and parcel of the necessary electoral reforms as recommended for reform by the court. Because without the candidates, you don't have the elections. Madam Speaker, I propose that we do look at these provisions, that for the President and the Chairperson, you are given a time limit, and we shall certainly point out why we need to provide the necessary amendments. But for today, I beg to request honorable colleagues to observe that Article 1 of the Constitution provides that the Ugandan citizens have the right to choose the people and the manner in which they should be governed, and that the will of the people under Article 1.4 is expressed through free and fair elections. So it is my considered opinion that to tell people to choose their leaders only within a certain choice bracket is highly discriminatory, and this should be amended in line with Article 21 and Article 32, which order for equality of citizens. And colleagues, Article 32 specifically obliges us to take affirmative action to redress marginalization and discrimination based on age, gender, disability, and other reasons created by history, tradition, or custom. Therefore, I find it absolutely justified to move amendment of these provisions to ensure that these archaic restrictions within the Constitution are removed, and we do give full power to the population to select their leaders as given by the constitutional mandate, Article 1. I'm convinced, Madam Speaker, beyond any doubt, that in doing so, we are actually exercising the role and responsibility of members of Parliament as provided under Article 259 and Article 262 of the Constitution. I therefore beg to move and request, honorable colleagues, that you grant me leave to proceed and introduce a private member's bill to effect the necessary amendments. I beg to move. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Yeko. But they also sit, there are seats on this side. Honourable members, there are seats here. You can. No, you speak from there. No, I'm telling the members who are struggling there, you come and sit comfortably.